Hey you guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel, Diana and the Book Hunt. Today I want to do with you a recent reads video because I kind of missed the mark to do a mid-month wrap-up. So I'm just going to tell you which books I've finished in the last couple of days to kind of keep everything in check and not have this humongous wrap up at the end of the month. So I'm just going to tell you which books I read in the past couple of days. It's about 7 books that I have for you, and some of them I absolutely loved and a couple of them are complete duds. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive right away into those books. The first one that I read is a sports romance. That one I picked up because when I saw that I had it in my audio library, I was immediately intrigued because I've never read a sports romance that focuses on a golf player. And also the blurb and also the cover sounded very cute and fun. So I was like, okay, let's just go ahead and read this one. The book is called Kiss My Putt by Tara Civic. And it follows Palmer, who is a pro golfer. He is kind of known as this guy who is always very collected, very kind of he always keeps his composure. He never loses his cool, and he's won a lot of tournaments. He's very popular in the circuit, and then during one tournament he kind of loses it. He goes into a complete meltdown, which is very unlike him, and basically because of this meltdown he needs to go ahead and lay low for a little bit because he's in danger of losing sponsors, of not being invited back to tournaments, of having problems with the fans. So he decides to go back to this island, I think like Martha's Vineyard type of place, where there is this resort he used to work at when he was younger and not popular yet in the golfing scene. And there is where his former best friend also works. Her name is, or at least he calls her Birdie. And they were best friends, but they had a falling out, which in both their lives kind of caused a big rift, a big kind of a change within their dynamic. So both of them are very hurt by each other's kind of responses to what happened, and with the progression of the story we find out exactly what happened and who was at fault, etc, etc. But in the meantime they kind of need to face the fact that they do have an attraction with each other and they miss each other, something fierce. So basically we have a friends to enemies to lovers situation, which I really did enjoy. I have to say that I really had fun with this story. It was very engaging, and there was a lot of banter, a lot of comic relief situations, so I definitely liked it. I think it's about 3.5 star worth for me. I wouldn't give it more than that because I don't know, I didn't feel too much of a connection with the characters, so I wouldn't say that it's really a favorite read of mine, but it was definitely worth the time, especially if you're looking for a sports romance where you have a bit of a different type of setting. This one is definitely worth your time. Now, the second book that I picked up, I absolutely loved. I think this is going to end up in my top 10 of the year because I didn't expect it to be this good, first of all. And the second thing is that I don't very often encounter new adult stories that have done communication very well. And this one is just made in a perfect way. I'm just going to discuss it in a couple of moments. Let me just first tell you what the book is called before I forget. The book is called Icebreaker and it's by Hannah Grace. I first saw Larissa from Larry Reads talk about this book, that she kind of picked it up on a whim, and she absolutely loved it. She said that it was going to be on her favorites list as well, so I was like, okay, let's just try it out. It's a hockey romance, but it also involves figure skating. It's new adult and it has really great representation. So let me just start off with how the story starts. We have Nate, who is the captain of the hockey team at this university, and we have Anastasia, who is a figure skater. She's part of a duo, so she's a pairs skater. And both of them are really competitive and really kind of invested in their sports, because Nate is going to go into the NHL once he graduates, and Anastasia wants to compete in the Olympics. So both of them are very determined when it comes to their sports. And at the beginning of the book, we have one of Nate's teammates who causes this incident to happen at their hockey rink, meaning that their hockey rink is not going to be available for quite some time. So they need to be sharing the ice rink that the figure skaters use, which kind of bumps off Anastasia's schedule a lot, and she's really pissed off about that. And that kind of gets projected onto Nate because he's the captain of the team. So at the beginning, we have a bit of an enemies or rival situation going on, but then they have such amazing banter and communication with each other that they kind of become friends first, and they do have a fierce attraction to each other. But yeah, a lot of things are happening within this book that kind of lead them to a very slow progression to a relationship. So it is a slow burn, but I have to say there is just such amazing representation. The thing that really stuck out to me that I really loved is the fact that Anastasia is really pushing for people to understand how important therapy is for people, especially for people in sports. And there is a trigger warning within this book, which involves slightly an eating disorder. But for the rest, yeah, I absolutely love this book. I have to say that it's probably one of the best sports romances that I've read this year. Maybe kind of tied with Odette Stone's Fuck Me Secretly and The Rookie Mistake, I think it was called, the last one. So I just read so many good sports romances this year. I'm just over the moon about it because I absolutely love this one as well. If you're looking to pick up a very good hockey sports romance that involves a lot of good communication, this one is definitely up your alley. So I don't know what it is. Is it some kind of a trend? I don't know if you've noticed or not, but I feel like a lot of authors are trying to get into the bookish themes a lot lately. A lot of books are being published that involve book publishers or book reviewers or even bookstagrammers or booktubers or anything that involves the bookish community. And I picked up quite a bit of those books this year, quite a lot of those books this year, and some of them have been real hits, like The Roughest Draft, and then some of them have been misses. And one of the books that I picked up that I did not really like too much, I think I gave it 3.5 stars on Goodreads, but I think I need to bump it down to 3 stars. I'm not sure. I still have to think about it because it was very recently that I read it. That book is called Did Not Finish by Nicola Marsh. This book centers on a reviewer. Her name is, I know his name is Axel, but her name is Mia. She reviews books for the New York Times, but she's secretly wanting to publish books. So what she thinks of is to enroll herself into this writing camp with one of her favorite authors, and he actually never does camps like this, but he is doing that for his own respective reasons. He lives somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I don't know, is it in Colorado or just somewhere in the mountains where it's very snowy? And he invites a couple of wannabe writers into his home so he can kind of guide them through this writing camp. And she is very fortunate to be accepted as one of those want-to-be writers. And she goes on to his place. But what happens is there was some kind of a snowstorm. She arrived one day early and the rest were supposed to arrive one day late. But because of this storm, only she arrived and everyone else couldn't make it. So she was the only one at his place. And it turns out that Axel actually knows who she is, and he's absolutely adamant about the fact that he kind of hates the fact that she reviews some of his works as well. So he's kind of a bit of standoffish to her in the beginning, and she's like What did I ever do to you? And he also tries to kind of convince her um, to maybe give some of his books a chance, because she DNF'd some of his books, and he's like, that's not fair, and that's the worst thing you can do to an author. And I'm like, worst thing you can do to an author is like put a 1-star review and just leave a scathing review, if you ask me. But anyway, a DNF is not always a bad thing. It just may mean that it's not the book for you. Anyway, that's just me kind of analyzing what a DNF stands for. So yeah, I don't know, this book, it just kind of wanted to be something that I'm not sure that it got to that point. And because it wanted to throw in a lot of things that are within the bookish community, it kind of focused too much on that, not too much on the relationship development, because we have like a week worth of writing camp time, and within that week, those people are certainly soulmates, which I never understand. It's like the epitome of insta love, insta lust, and I just do not like that. I want to focus on how these people get feelings for each other, and not so much on why they have an animosity towards each other, and then suddenly, because of some kind of attraction, they are in love. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I gave it 3.5 stars, but I think it's like more of a solid 3-star read for me. Check it out if you're interested in a bookish themed novel. See whether it's for you, and let me know if you like it. Maybe you liked it more than I did, but it was definitely not one of my favorites when it comes to the bookish themes. Now, the next one that I read is my very first Christmas themed book for this year. I was very excited about this book, and when I saw that I was going to have the audio on the release day, I definitely knew that I was going to pick it up in October. The book is called A Merry Little Meet Cute by Sierra Simone and Julie Murphy. This book, the premise of it already sounds amazing. When you read the blurb, it kind of makes you think, okay, this is going to be a different type of story. So I definitely do appreciate that. We're following an adult entertainment star who is also a plus-sized model. She is going to be starring in this Christmas period themed movie for like a Hallmark channel. So that's already kind of intriguing. How does a porn star essentially get into like a family themed channel Christmas movie? And then her co-star is this guy who used to be in a boy band, and he kind of had a very big career, but it kind of simmered down because of things that happened, and now he's kind of trying to get a second win into his career. And so yeah, he's going to be her co-star. The interesting thing about this book is that each of those characters respectively is a fan of the other because of the things they do in their past or in their other careers. So there's a lot of fangirling and fanboying moments within the book, which I absolutely loved. And then there's also a lot of amazing representation, because we have a plus size heroine. We have both of them are bisexual. We have a lot of support for the adult entertainment industry within this book. We have a lot of scenes where he is defending the way that she looks, which I absolutely love. That he actually really finds that attractive, which is just so amazing to me to read in a book. And then we also have a slight representation for mental illness, because the hero's mother, I think, has a bipolar, is it bipolar syndrome? I don't know what it's called. She's bipolar. So there's a lot of great representation within the book. There's a lot of great situations because they're filming a movie. They're both fangirling and fanboying about each other, and they need to perform romantic scenes. So they're like kind of mixing fiction with reality, which I absolutely love. And this book just left me feeling a lot of amazing positive emotions because of the themes, because of the way it was developed, because it had amazing spicy scenes, because it also got me into the Christmas mood. So I definitely loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars, and it definitely deserves your attention if you want to pick up a Christmas book. And then another Christmas themed book that I picked up that I had on my list that I definitely wanted to finish was Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison. This book centers around a woman, Stella, who owns this Christmas tree farm, I think that is called, where she kind of is struggling financially because things are happening, and she's just down in a downward spiral, if I can say so, and she's kind of hoping that there is this one last solution that she can think of that might help her get her farm into a positive light so that she can get more customers and have a better revenue. She finds out that there is this amazing influencer who has this competition where if someone enrolls, they can win a prize like $100,000 or something, but also get a lot of publicity and marketing from herself. And because she has such a wide outreach, that would already help a lot. So Stella enrolls herself and her farm into this competition, but she lied on the application because she mentioned that she owns the farm together with her partner, a partner that she doesn't have. She thought in her mind that it would be more romantic if it's a couple that owns this Christmas tree farm. So she kind of lied on the application, and she is now in desperate need of someone who can pretend to be her partner, her boyfriend. She asks, obviously, her best friend, Luca, whom she has had a crush on for many, many years, but she doesn't want to ruin their relationship, so she's never made her feelings apparent. And I have to say that I absolutely love this book because Luca is an amazing, amazing man. He's an amazing friend, but he's also an amazing human being. Also, there are just a lot of cozy situations within this book that really make you think that it's just Christmas is such a wonderful time of the year, such a family oriented and love oriented and warmth oriented season. It kind of transported me into a Christmas mood. Really, I was like in a Hallmark Christmas movie when I was reading this book, and it just sounded so amazing to me. Um, I definitely love this book. I gave it 4 stars, and I cannot wait to read on in the series because there's 2 more books. I think it's going to be 3 more books. One of them is still in the works and needs to be released, but 2 are already released, so I'm definitely going to continue on with the series. Now, the next book that I picked up is called Zenny by Rebecca Weatherspoon. This book I picked up, I believe, because I saw someone talking about it. If I'm not mistaken, it was Jess from Peace Love Books who talked about this book. And I saw that I also have the audiobook for it in Storytel, so I was like, okay, let's pick this one up. It wasn't very long, I believe, so I was like, let me just get through this one because it sounds good. We have Zenny, who is the niece of a very famous R&B star who passed away. So Zenny goes to her aunt's funeral, and there is where she meets Mason, who is this huge Scottish, amazing bulk of a man who plays the bagpipes at her aunt's funeral. And it turned out that he was a very good friend of her aunt's. So what happens is they have this situation where they need to go to the will reading. I don't know if that's what it's called, but they need to hear out the will. And it turns out that her aunt left her most of her things, and she also left $100,000 for Mason, but only in the condition that they get married. She was trying to matchmake them while she passed away. So both of them were like, oh my God, should we do this? Because it just sounds ridiculous. We don't know each other. But at the same time, he needs the money. And she's like, okay, I cannot just let this, because she has like an estate for $20 million or something. She's like, I cannot let this pass me by. So they decide to go ahead and go through with the deal. By the way, I think the book is called Zenny, A Marriage of Inconvenience. But this is a story with a marriage of convenience, and both of them go through quite interesting situations, because Zenny finds out that her whole family has lied to her whole life about something very important, and Mason, on his hand, is also going through a family dilemma, family kind of a problem that he's been dealing with for quite some years. That's why he also needs the money. So yeah, respectively, they're kind of trying to help each other out, and in the process they find out that they really like each other, that they're very well compatible with each other, but at the same time they're like, we're doing this just to get the benefits because that's what we agreed, and we shouldn't look too deep into our feelings. So both of them are kind of fighting their feelings and attraction for each other, but at the same time they want to enjoy each other, so it's quite a bit of a predicament that they're in. So yeah, it was quite a good story. I gave this one 4 stars, so it was one of the good ones that I picked up this month. The last book that I picked up, I absolutely hate it. It's probably one of the worst books that I've read this year, maybe ever, if I have to be honest. It's called Teach Me the Ropes by Vanessa Vale. I gave this book 1 star. It definitely deserves it because it was horrible. It was full of the worst types of cliches, the worst types of lines, and it just didn't make sense to me at all at some points. On the cover of this book, there is this cowboy. The book is called Teach Me the Ropes. It kind of really hints towards it being a book that involves a cowboy, but it actually involves a fireman who lives on a ranch. So I don't know if that qualifies as a cowboy, but in my opinion, it shouldn't really. The second thing that really bothered me is, like I mentioned, a lot of cliches, a lot of cheesy, amazingly overused lines, and just very unlikable characters overall. So I really kind of struggled to get through the book, even though it's quite short. I think it's like 250 pages or so. But it sucked so much that I really struggled to finish it, but I did finish it. And I'm definitely not going to continue on with the series because this is the first book of a series, but I definitely will not read anything anymore within this series because it just plainly sucked. So yeah, I don't know if I should go on talking about this book anymore. If you want to check it out, but I definitely don't recommend it from my side. So this wraps up my recent reads. I read about 7 books. I hope that it's 7 because I always mention some number and then it turns out that I read less or more. But anyway, I read a couple of books that I've wrapped up for you, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like my video if you did so, and also be on the lookout for more videos on my channel soon. If you've read any of the books that I've discussed in this video, please let me know what you thought of them because I love hearing your opinions, and I hope to see you very soon in the next one. Happy reading, have a wonderful, marvelous day, take care, and bye-bye.